So today I am joined by road racer Sarah Boys. So Sarah, you're over in Germany to say throughout the COVID. So how have you been getting on over there?
Yeah, not too bad really. Things aren't too bad over here. I think it's mostly been worse at home, and I was at home through a lot of the lockdown, so it's obviously nice to be back here. But yeah, it's a bit of a funny year with no racing. It's don't really know what to do with ourselves, to be honest. But yeah, strange year. Just have to keep the hope that it all goes ahead next year, really. So
Yeah, well, fingers crossed.
yeah,
So going back a little bit, your father raced, did he? Was your father into motorbikes as well? So was that
yeah,
I suppose, where you got your love for the sport?
yeah, absolutely. He's raced before since I was born, so we've kind of grown up in the paddock really, and he tried to put me off and put me off for years and years and years. Always used to take me to the bikes, and I really wanted to go since I was little, but he wouldn't let me have a go. And then eventually I wore him down, and he said, right, okay, then you can. I'll help you have a go. If you save up for your own bike and pay for it all yourself, then I'll help you and we'll go racing. And I don't know if he expected me to actually do it or not. To be honest, I think it was a bit of a test because a couple of years later, I managed to get a full time job and saved up, and I bought my first bike. So and then we went racing, and the rest is history. So I think it was bound to happen. Really, I didn't really want to do anything else. So, but he put me off until I finished college and everything like that first. I think he wanted me to get my education done and out the way, which I think he's right because I would never have concentrated if I'd been racing. So yeah, so he's the one. It's his fault that I'm into it, unfortunately. But
And
yeah,
when you started, what were you on 125s, or what did you start off on?
yeah. Started on a 125, a Grand Prix GP Honda 125. It's kind of the reason that I wanted to start racing. I have a bit of a love for two strokes, even though they're dying out a bit now. But it's the reason that I wanted to go racing, and I only ever really wanted to race that bike. It just drew me to it. I loved it. They're proper race bikes. You can work on them properly, and they're just a nice, small, lightweight bike, which I think is another reason why my dad was happy for me to start on that. So yeah, I started on that, but I've ridden quite a few different things through my career. But the first few years were predominantly 125. Yeah.
And where then did you start off racing? Was it over in England on tracks, or how did you, I suppose, progress from that to the Irish roads?
Well, yeah. So we started. Obviously, I'm from England originally, so started on the short circuits there first, just to get all my license. You have to get rid of your newcomer's jacket the first year, and then the second year we predominantly just tried to get enough signatures to get my national license so that I could go road racing. So I think it was like the third year of racing that I started to go racing on the roads, and we did, like, Scarborough would be local to us. It's the only sort of road race we have in England, and we did that. And then I came over and did a few in the north and did Cookstown and Tandragee, I think, that year. Um, and then just progressed basically. And I think I went to the Manx that year as well. 2011 was my first Manx, and just since then, really, I've just been doing mostly roads. I still do a couple of short circuits, but I would definitely say I prefer the roads overall.
And then your partner Sean also races. What class is he in actually?
Yeah, he would mostly be a thousand, rides thousands, to be honest.
Okay.
But and he's the same, mostly roads, and does the TT, and uh, does a lot more out in Europe now that we're based out here. So does quite a lot of that, but always goes back for Tandragee as it's the favourite. So always makes an effort to get
Oh,
back home.
I suppose having him and your dad, I suppose, who races as well, it's probably nice having that to kind of bounce things off them, relating to yourself, with riding and just things like setup with the bike and stuff. It must be nice.
Absolutely, yeah. It's I think, especially starting out, it was an absolute advantage having my dad around. He obviously knew the way things needed to be, and I definitely had an advantage having him by my side to get me through that, and I think that definitely helped. Um, and also, I think, obviously me and Sean met through the bikes, so having that common interest is great. I don't I don't think if I was with somebody that wasn't into the bikes, I think it would be quite hard for them we understand. Yeah. So it's great that we have that, and it works both ways. You know, I understand that how his racing works and things like this as well. So yeah, it definitely helps. I think sometimes it can be difficult as well because you know, especially with it's mostly just me and Sean these days, but you know, we both have things we want to do with racing, and we both have commitments and things, and I think it gets difficult when, like for example, last year we both raced at Horace, and we didn't have normally both of our dads would be there, sort of helping us and looking after us. We both did this one on our own, and it definitely sort of opened our eyes a little bit because normally one of us would help the other out, or he would help me and I would help him. But with when we were both riding, we were both in the same race, it was very, very difficult. You know, you're just praying that it doesn't rain before the session and wheels need changing, or just if everything runs smoothly, it's okay. But, you know, when you've got things that need to be done and we're both racing and we're both, I think you've got a different attitude, mental attitude when you're actually racing to when you're actually just helping somebody at racing. And it can be quite difficult. But so it's both an advantage and a disadvantage, I think, sometimes having someone so close to you. Sometimes it's easier having somebody that's just dedicated to look after you and isn't racing, if you know what I mean. So yeah, but we work together, we work well as a team. I think we've done pretty well, and we just support each other as much as we can. So.
And so you've done, as you said, you've gone to the Manx and you've done pretty much all the nationals there is over here, and as well as the Ulster Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Can you pick your favourite circuit as a road racer, or does, you know, I know people talk about like the nationals especially have all the little kind of weird like corners and jumps and different things, and then of course there's the internationals which are, you know, watched all around the globe. So
yeah.
Suppose, do you have a favourite?
Well, yeah, I do. I would say, well, I mean, obviously, I think out of all road racing, I think for a lot of people, obviously, racing at the Isle of Man and the TT course has got to be my favourite personally because it's unique. It's the biggest challenge of them all, and it's something. It's just something really special. But then again, it's a time trial, so it's something completely different. So if we were to talk about just the nationals or internationals, I would say it's a really close call between Tandragee and the Ulster Grand Prix. I really love them both. The Ulster's so fast and flowing, and the atmosphere is just unreal at that event. And I love going every single year. It's absolutely fantastic, and it does suit me, like my style, a little bit better because it just flows so well and it's so good. And then Tandragee is some completely special. It's you know, with all the jumps, and it's so fast, and both events are organised and run by some fantastic people, and it's just a pleasure. I love them both for different reasons, but yeah, I couldn't pick between the two, I don't think.
And then of course, I suppose the industry that you're in motorbikes, it is quite male dominated.
Yeah.
As a female and being in that kind of minority, do you feel it, I suppose, you know, walking around the paddock, and like, are you aware, I suppose, that you are a female in a male dominated sport?
Yeah, sometimes definitely. I have mixed opinions on it. I don't. I think being a female in racing is actually a huge advantage. I don't think we're at a disadvantage at all. I think because you have something unique and different to bring to racing, that it's actually easier to get help.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, it's definitely an advantage. You get noticed more, whereas and you don't necessarily have to get the results either. So I think it definitely helps. I mean, you may be at a disadvantage perhaps. You know, if you're riding 1,000, like you need a bit more strength. But then you've got the likes of Jenny Tinmouth who are proving that wrong. You know, that she's very competitive and can really ride a bike. So yeah, I think you are sometimes aware of it in the paddock, but I also think it doesn't need to be a big deal at the same time. For me personally, I don't like playing the female card. I want to be treated exactly the same as everybody else. I don't really want any special. I don't want any special treatment. Of course, it's lovely that people acknowledge you and think that you know that it's great that you're out there. Absolutely, and I think it would be great if more girls are out there. I also think it'd be a great thing when it's not a thing that there are girls out there. It should just be seen as the normal, for me personally. But it's, yeah, I don't know. There's mixed views on it. Some people approach it very differently and will get a lot more out